Welcome to another episode of Wellness Wednesday, Thriving with Autoimmunity. Today we're going to talk about calories versus protein versus macros. Where do I begin? Like, what's the best way to figure out how to live a healthy, active lifestyle, right? Like, what's the best way to watch what you eat? You know what? You already know the answer, but I'm going to share with you and elaborate on what it is and how you can do it. So here we go. The answer is a healthy relationship with food. You don't need to count calories. You don't need to count your protein. You don't need to count your macros. All you need to do is have an understanding of a way to be mindful and have a healthy relationship with food. And that starts with education. That starts with working with a coach that understands nutrition, especially in the autoimmunity field and area, and how it can affect you and what things are non-inflammatory that don't make your body inflamed with inflammation, because that's the worst thing for someone with autoimmunity, whether you have Hashimoto's, whether you have diabetes, any of those. And how do you control this? How do you understand? How do you know what it is, right? So here we go. Most people just don't even understand what calorically dense meal foods can be, right? So if you're thinking like, let's have pizza tonight, well, that's great, but you don't want to eat a whole deep dish pie to yourself, because that could be about 1,000 calories. And what it's going to do is it's going to make you completely inflamed. It's going to make you bloated, and you're just not going to feel good after the fact, right? A lot of times people think in the moment, oh, it's amazing, it's delicious. Sure, it is. But in reality, how are you helping yourself long term? And even just later that night, like, oh my gosh, right? Or are you sleeping? Are you, breathing heavily? Are you dehydrated? All that stuff. So we have to understand certain foods are better for you than others. Have a slice of the deep dish with a salad. And don't pour the dressing on top of it and load it up with dressing, right? Just drizzle the dressing on or dip it, because then again, you're increasing the calories and you're not really getting the nutrients of the vegetables or of the food that you're eating. So also misjudging portions, right? So misjudging portions is another reason why people don't understand nutrition, because misjudging portions, you may think you're eating the right portion, but in reality, you're eating way too much, or the opposite, you're eating way too less, okay? And when there's like benefits and not benefits to both, right? Like, for example, if you're eating way too much, you may feel really full and feel really good after, but then you're gonna feel so sick and indigestion, you're gonna be inflamed, it's gonna be horrible. When you don't eat enough, you're like still hungry, but you may not feel like it, or you may be hungry and you don't wanna eat anymore because you think you've had enough, right? But then what that happens is your body starts gurgling in your stomach, and you go into starvation mode, and you actually start producing fat instead of releasing the fat. So that's why a lot of times when people don't eat enough, they actually do gain weight. It is a fact. That's what happens. So the way that we want to understand is that, let's face it, for counting calories, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, right? There's these apps you can have that you can punch in all your food, and it does all these macros with the calories, the fiber, the fat, all this stuff, the protein. And it does it for you, but you still have to write it all in. And I've done all of these, so I can speak to it. It's a lot of work. And you have to know for what your caloric intake is. It's based on your height, your age, your sex, your weight, all of that. Like, it has a lot. There's a whole formula that goes into it. There's actually a formula you can look up, right? Your BMI, all of that, to know what your caloric intake is, and includes what exercise you do as well. So you may think you know, but you don't know, so you're not having the right caloric intake for the day. It's just a lot of work that is unnecessary, okay? So, and it's good maybe for the short term, but for the long term, it's not sustainable. So what I like to do is the answer that I mentioned before, healthy relationship with food. How do we do that? Well, it's mindful eating and self-regulation, right? So it's a fast, healthy relationship with the food. So you understand the food that you're having. So think about this. When babies are little, like babies are little, so when they eat, they stop when they're full. They have self-regulation. They don't overeat. They don't undereat. When they're hungry, they cry and they get fed. And when they're done, they're done. They don't continue to eat. They're self-regulating. They're mindful of what they're eating in the portions subconsciously. That's what they're doing, okay? So mindful eating is when you feel you have hunger and fullness cues, nutritional knowledge, and you understand what works for you. Okay, so you cues that you feel full, stop, take a break, have a sip of water, and then if you're still hungry, go back. Nutritional knowledge, understanding the nutrition that serves your body is key. Now, everyone's different, but there are certain foods universally that are good for everybody and certain ones that are not. So you have to understand nutritionally what's good and serving you, for you, whether you have autoimmunity or not. Okay, and understanding what works for you, that may not work for somebody else, right? You may be able to process chicken, but the next person next to you doesn't know how to process chicken because their body can't adapt to it. So they have to have eggs. This is just an example. But just because it's healthy doesn't mean every person can process it, okay? And what happens is when you have mindful eating, you become better. You start to feel better, right? You just start to feel better. When you fuel your body with the proper nutrition, you start to feel better. You start to look better. So like skin is an indicator. So when you're dehydrated, your skin doesn't look as good. When you're hydrated, it looks amazing. Like you're glowing, right? And when you fuel your body with the right nutrition for you, that you look better. You have this glow about you that it's really unexplainable unless you've experienced it. You have less bloating and you have more energy. So nutrition is directly correlated to energy. If you do not have energy or you take naps during the day or you feel exhausted all the time, look at your nutrition. Work with your coach, work with your nutrition coach, work with your wellness coach, work with your health coach, work with someone that's an expert in what you want, right? Because if you don't have energy, you're not having the right foods. And you're not having enough water during the day, which plays a huge part in energy, okay? And bloating, when you feel better and you're eating the right foods for your body that your body can process, you will not be bloated. Oh my gosh, sometimes it looks like, you just have this huge belly after you eat. It's called inflammation and bloating. It's not healthy. You don't feel good. So why do you continue to do it? Be able to be mindful, so you have your hunger cues, you have your nutritional knowledge, and you understand what works for you. When you do that, you'll also lose weight and get healthier, so if that's one of your goals. And you'll see that nutrition, if you're an athlete, how nutrition directly impacts your athletic performance. So for example, you want to make sure that you're eating a certain nutritional value of protein and healthy carbs and fruits and veggies before you play, after you play, and hydration and electrolytes during playtime. Because if you're not, you are not working at your peak performance. You may think you are, but you're not mindful that you're not, okay? And then you're also going to achieve specific body fat percentage and improve the relationship with the mindful food. The impact that you put on the food, the mindfulness of it, right? Just because you go to a restaurant and they put food in front of you and it's a portion, they determine the portion, doesn't mean it's the portion for you. It could be 2 meals. It could be 1 meal. It could be 3 meals, a meal and a half. But you have to be mindful. You get to be mindful because you have nutritional knowledge and you have the hunger and fullness cues and you understand what works for you. Okay? I remember my grandfather, he used to, when we went out to dinner, he would cut his food in half. We went to like these big Italian restaurants. He would cut it in half, ask for a to-go box, and he would put half in the to-go box, and he would eat half. He was mindful that he couldn't eat all of it, and if he did, he'd feel really gross and sick, and he didn't want to do that. So it's a 2 for 1. Great bargain. And so you want to know on a day-to-day what fits for you and what feels good for you. Super important, okay? So an easy way to do mindful eating as well as self-regulation is to use your fist, okay? So what you want to do is for protein, 1 fistful. For healthy carbs, 1 fistful. For veggies, 2 fistfuls. And for your fats, your thumb. So simple. Again, protein, healthy carbs, veggies, fat. So simple, you guys. There's no measuring, there's no counting. You are mindfully aware of the nutrition that's going in your body because you can self-regulate. Self-regulation wins. It's super simple. And so what do you do now? How do you begin, right? You want to start where you are now. Today is always day one. Start where you are. And then you get to adjust. Adjust based on what's working and what's not working. Never take out foods all at once. Do one at a time or add foods back in one at a time so you know what's working, you can adjust. Find your sweet spot. Find what is working for you. Think beyond the food, okay? So for a moment, think beyond the food. Think about sleep, movement, lowering stress, improving your mindset, okay? These are all being mindful of your life and living a healthy, active lifestyle. If you're not sleeping well, it's probably because of your nutrition. It could be other factors as well, yes, but try to tweak your nutrition a little bit and see if it works, okay? And, you know, if you're really stressed and you're like, oh my gosh, like all the time, like try to shift your nutrition. Try to be a little healthier. Have a little bit more protein. Have some almonds next to you. Drink your water, right? Have a water bottle and just sip on it. And those are ways that you can be mindful of what you eat, how you eat it, and what you're filling your body with. Mindful eating and self-regulation is how you can live a healthy, active lifestyle, besides not even worrying about counting calories, counting your protein, counting macros. That's a lot of work, okay? But you get to be mindful of who you are, what you want, and how you're gonna get there. And know that a lot of issues you may be having could be directly related and correlated to your nutrition. And as a nutrition coach, a health coach, an autoimmune expert, I know how to go ahead and customize a nutrition plan that speaks directly to you, that has what you need to feel amazing all day, every day. Make it super simple so you can meal plan and meal prep and have things ready to go every day of the week, whether you're going to work or whether you're home on the weekend with your family or whether you're going out for a hike or a jog, whatever it is, going on vacation, going out to eat. I have it for you. I have the plan. I have tips and tools that we get to add to your toolbox that are amazing, and they are super simple. That's the key. Simple means sustainable over life. If it's not simple, it's not sustainable. That's why a lot of diets are called fads, because they come and go. Start and stop, you start and stop, you start and stop. Nothing is sustainable, nothing changes in your life, and you don't feel better. And then you start again, and the same thing happens. And you start again, and the same thing happens. That's the definition of insanity. What I do is I help you break that cycle and stop existing and start living. So if you're ready to start thriving with autoimmunity, with someone that is experienced and an expert and knows how to help you, go ahead and click on the link right down below and go ahead and fill out the form, and we'll be in touch to help you thrive with autoimmunity. And remember, nothing's impossible. The mere word itself says impossible. And today is your day. Today is day one of the rest of your life. I'm so excited for you. I cannot wait to meet you face to face and have an incredible life-changing experience. Because you know what? You're worth it. You are worth it. You are your number one priority. Making yourself a priority is not selfish. It is necessary. I'm so excited to meet you, and I wish you all the best.